All right, welcome to Rockland Sound.
This episode was brought to you by Tomes, a natural sleep and sound healing portal available globally at www.tomes.com. That's www.taumhoms.com.
This is episode 8, but it would be episode 1 of season 2. We have a great guest with us tonight. We have Toby Wright. Now, Toby Wright is a producer, engineer, mixer. What would you kind of say on the Tomes? How would you like to describe that?
Founder and creator.
Founder and creator. So
yes.
Welcome to Rockland Sound, where rock meets Rockland, and I would happen to be in Austin, so it would be Rockland meets Austin. And so welcome to Rockland Sound.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here. Okay,
you have quite a heck of a resume. Grammy Award winner, producer. Obviously, in the early career, I assume you started in it, with your engineering career and worked your way up.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I didn't want what we try to do is it's a little different than other podcasts that are out there. So as much as we want to cover your career and obviously things you have to promote, we try to spend some time to get to know you. Now, here's the one thing. I'll ask Toby this first. Now, obviously everybody's got influences and how we grew up and all that. And I'm sure there might've been music around you and you could discuss any of that, how you'd like and set it up. But I want to know, what is the first album that you bought with your own money that made you say, I have to have that album?
Wow. That would probably be the Osmonds Live. There was a double record set. It had a song called Down by the Lazy River on it. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I had to have that record.
I had the Dolls when I was
sweet.
real little, because they had the TV show. My mom got me the Dolls. I had the Donnie doll.
Yeah, see? Yeah, the silliest shit. But, that record, I don't know what it was about it. It rocked. I remember dancing all over the place, singing as loud as I could, and embarrassing as that is, but when you find something that resonates with you, that's what you stick with, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then
all around us as well.
And then all my influences kind of stemmed from there.
Mm-hmm. So now let me ask a question, a follow up to that though, the Osmonds album. When's the last time you heard it? Has it been all the way back, or have you gone?
Yeah.
Let me go back to it and check it out.
I have it in my collection still, but I haven't listened to it since I was a little kid. So it might be a piece of junk. I don't know.
That's funny.
But yeah, the way I remember it was, larger than life at that time.
That's great. So people have heard this, my answer, but I saved up my lunch money for like about a week or so, and bought a Queen's the Game. I used to go roller skating on Friday nights. My mom let me go out and stay out till 11, and I was like 10 years old, or 9 to 10 years old. And Another One Bites the Dust was like the big hit that everybody had to go out and get on the roller skating rink and
right
get out there and boogie down there. So I went and got that, and I had been a fan of them before, but obviously just the radio hits.
Right.
So start digging in, and once I hit that, I just went in and started getting all the other albums and everything. Now, Jay, how about you? What first album you got that you had to have?
My first record was Motley Crue, Theater of Pain.
Nice.
Wow.
And I grew up north of North Dakota in Canada. It's a place called Saskatchewan. Mm-hmm. My parents went to Vancouver, which was fascinating, to go to Expo 86. And my aunt worked at the music department at the Hudson's Bay section in Vancouver. and my mom bought me Theater of Pain album.
Wow.
And I was, because there's these guys, I live on a farm in a town of 400 people in the middle of Saskatchewan kind of thing. And you have these guys wearing like pink spandex and like lipstick and all the rest of it. But as a dad now, if my son asked me to buy him a Motley Crue record that looked like that, I'd be questioning a lot of things. But at the time, it just seemed like that was it. Like you'd see like the Home Sweet Home or Smoking in the Boys Room video on a video channel, and these guys were like superheroes.
Yeah.
You know? So that was my record. Well, it was a tape, but I mean, and that was in 1986.
See, it's funny because my stepfather would get triggered by, he was great to be able to poke at, you know? So he just like, shut up, turn that off. They look like girls. You know, don't. I remember one time I started growing my hair out, and he drove me right back down to, I think my mom and him had taken a little bit of a break. And we went back and they got back together, and I had grown my hair out. And right when I walked in the house, he got right in the car and took me and buzzed my head. But my mom was funny because my mom was like, I don't care if you want to dye your hair blue, look like an idiot. She was like when I started getting into Kiss, because I love Kiss, and she just like heard me listening to Love Gun, and my mom just laughed at it. Like, he's a grown man singing about it, you know. And so she, but then, you know, and she just thought it was funny and walked through her room. And so she didn't get upset about it. You know, the only thing I'd get yelled at is for playing it too loud and bothering her. But, you know, so I had, so my stepfather was kind of like, I could poke him and then she'd stick up for me. So I had that.
Moms are the best, period. Hands down.
Like I told her, without telling it in a long way, it's a funny story though, is that when I was talking to Michael Sweet, my mom went to get groceries and I got their album Soldiers Under Command. And we had one of those, if you remember, stereos that have that are like a huge piece of furniture, you know, so flip the top up and you have the record vinyl player and everything. So I'm like the third way through. My mother comes in with groceries and she makes me want to sing is the name of the song. And so it's Jesus, you know, it's singing in the chorus real loud, heavy. And she walked through the room and dropped the bags and just went, are you singing Jesus? And I just gave her the horns and she just shook her head and just like, what am I doing with them? So, because, you know, it was Love Gun right before the guy singing about his pee-pee. So, you know, and now I'm singing Jesus. So I had her all over the place.
Right. A little confusing.
Well, speaking of Kiss, so as I'm going through your discography and you know, your production career here and albums you mixed, and I mean, when I opened it up to study about it, you know, about you to speak to you, I couldn't even talk for like 2 minutes. I was just like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And that's why I know Tom was dying to wanting to be here because I sent him the link to it and he was like, oh, you know, but, you know, if he doesn't get his sleep, his company won't do well. So
part two with Tom then.
When we do part two, we'll have him on.
That's right.
But let's get into Kiss a little bit if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right.
Don't mind at all.
Okay, so I'm looking when you were the assistant engineer on Crazy Nights.
I was.
Okay, so could you give us a little bit of what that experience was like? Because that was the non-makeup years of Kiss.
Correct.
And so it was Paul and Gene leading things, but I think at that point there was a little tension in the band between Gene and Paul, where it was more Paul's band. And I don't know if you saw any of that. And then just to get into what you think of the songs and the mix, because I know Ron Nevison produced it.
Yes, he did.
And he's mentioned that he wished he could have went back and remixed it and not as glossed it up, but that was the sound back then. So.
Yeah, and that's a bit of Nevison sound, right? So, you know, Ron is an amazing producer, and I did 7 or 8 records with the man, and learned a hell of a lot of stuff, mostly what not to do, you know. But there was a whole lot of what to do too, you know. Like he's done some amazing records, all of UFO's catalog, some Zeppelin, some crazy stuff Ron's done, and I just, you know, I'm very grateful to the man for having worked with him. And, you know, learned a lot of stuff from him. So on this particular Kiss record, I remember, it was mostly a Paul record. You know, I didn't really know the guys at the time. Eric Carr was still alive. And, you know, we got some drumming from him. And, you know, it was a crazy it was Crazy Nights.
Crazy.
It was it was a really cool record. You know, I was the assistant and an engineer on it. And you know, I just remember a lot of the I don't remember a lot of the tension stuff because I just let that, you know, flow through, right? But you know, the music to me was really cool at that point in time. I was like, wow, you know, look at Ron doing a metal record. This is awesome.
Well,
and
he did,
so it,
and then did you work on the Ozzy one as well when he did The Ultimate Sin? Because I know he produced that too.
right, yeah, he did. And no, I didn't. I
Okay.
came in after that. That was probably Mike Klink helping him out on that one.
Yeah,
Because I took Mike's place with Ron when after Mike did Guns N' Roses and so on and so forth. And then, you know, he had gone, left Ron, and Ron found me out at One-on-One Studios in North Hollywood. And, you know, it was a tracking facility that I had a hand in building. And, you know, I got in touch with him somehow and said, hey, man, you got to come and check out this room. It's amazing. And so he did. And he brought like all of the next, I think, 6 or 8 records out there. And I got to work on all of them with him, which was amazing. But yeah, it was interesting because, you know, flowing through that record, you know, set me up for a whole bunch of other records. And, you know, the way Ron does things is, you know, just the way Ron does things. And it's great. You know, he gets phenomenal sounds. And, you know, was the record a little glossy after it was mixed? Yeah, a little bit. But, you know, like, so was Master of Puppets. So, you know.
Actually, yeah, true. I mean, I bought it when it came out because you know, I got into Kiss like a couple albums before that. And then I had to go backwards. You know, I knew who they were with the makeup and stuff. It didn't get me when I was at the age I was as a kid. I think I was more initially into sports. And then, you know, this music started to I started marinating in music, and it kind of changed the trajectory a bit. So, but without getting into too much Kiss, you are one of the producers like Bob Ezrin that has some Kiss lore attached to you for having produced Carnival of the Souls.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great album. Now,
thank you.
The setup on that one is obviously they wanted to kind of go and be a little bit more of the sound of the times.
Right.
You know, and they were, I don't know this because I read obviously they delayed it coming out because they got back together in the makeup. So it is officially the last non-makeup record that Kiss has done because they continue to wear it.
Right.
But did you know, I know that Bruce and Eric didn't know till near the end of the recording from what they say, that they were plotting the reunion. Did you know that going in?
Oh, no, not going in.
Okay, so
there was no reunion going in, as far as I know.
Oh, really?
I mean, about half to 3/4, we were in guitar overdubs, and I'm about almost done. And, you know, Gene walked in, you know, at one point, and, you know, Bruce and I were sitting there just doing guitar solos, I think, is what we were into at the time, which means we had everything tracked, vocals and everything. And, you know, I usually put the guitars and sprinkles and all that stuff last. And so if we were into that, it was, you know, he walked in, saw this little smug look on his face, and he stopped the session and said he had an announcement and that, you know, he felt propelled to take, you know, a tour, which would net them $100 million. And he wanted to put the makeup back on and go do it. And the mood in the room went from, oh, yes, we're making a record, and this is great, too. Oh, my God. And Bruce and Eric and I about almost cried. Paul was like, what? What happened? And he didn't know until, you know, Gene just announced it, right?
Oh, wow.
And so that was, you know, how I remember it coming down. And so it was quite shocking. And then, you know, the first question out of my mouth is, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to mix this record? Are we going to stop? What are we doing? And he said, no, we're going to continue and we're going to finish it and it's going to come out. Okay, cool. And so, you know, I went in, and I mixed it and did my thing to it and all that kind of good stuff. And then they held it. And they held it for a few years.
Yeah.
And it was one of the biggest bootleg records in the world at that time.
I had it before it came out officially. From a Kiss
Millions of people did, like literally.
From a Kiss convention I went to, there was a
Right.
guy hawking them out there. And normally I'm not one of those people that was big on bootlegs because I like to support the artists that I'm a fan of.
Amen.
But I was itching to hear it and I grabbed it. So, but I bought it anyway when it came out. So I guess I atoned for my sins.
There you go.
But so the weird thing though on that then, see, the way I look at it, and not to get, like I said, too much into it, what caught me assigned was I was reading an article as they were making it, and as you guys were making it, and they said that Bruce was writing like not most of the album. Bruce was contributing to like almost every song on it.
Yes, true.
And then they were saying he might even sing a song.
And he did.
Yeah, I know. I Walk Alone, great song. But that in my mind went, something's up. See, to me, that set off an alarm in my head that I was
Gotcha.
like I knew Bruce can play and he could write because he's done it on pretty much every album he's been on. But I was like, is this the reward for those years of service? Kind of the vibe. That's what I was feeling from it. I was like, something's coming.
Well, that's a pretty good observation, actually, and it might have been that way. That you'd have to ask Gene about because I don't know about rewards, like that. So I do, it started, back with this man named Kurt Cuomo and Bruce, and they were good friends. And Kurt had a little studio out in Woodland Hills, and I ended up having a studio in that complex. And so Kurt and I were good friends, and that's kind of how I got turned on to the whole thing. And that and Bob Ezrin, it came from both sides. And Bob had suggested to Gene that since I had done a bunch of work with Alice in Chains and the grunge work, in the grunge era, that I should be the one to produce this next Kiss record. And I thank Bob very much. Thank you, Bob. I do appreciate that. That was a good move on your part. And so, when I got interviewed with Gene and Paul and the band, they wanted that sound. And, so I was like, okay, well, I will do my best. And, that's where the songs were coming from was, from Kurt and from Bruce mostly. And, Paul came in and he did his thing. And, Gene came in with his songs as well. And, it kind of, I'm very proud of that record because it's not a typical Kiss record. And it does show literal sign of the times. And, there was a famous story that, Gene and I got into a little bit of a thing where, he wanted to be like Billy Corgan, and I didn't understand. What are you talking about? You're a legend. Why would you want to be like that guy from Chicago? I don't get it. Well, it finally came out in the whole, back and forth about it that, he wanted to sell records like Billy Corgan was selling at the time. I was like, oh, why didn't you say that?
And isn't that mixed into the beginning of Hate when there's the talk in there? He mentions him in there, doesn't he? Right.
Yes, he does. Yeah, it's backwards and all that kind of stuff. But there's a whole conversation that I put in there.
Well, speaking of Alice in Chains, now those are some amazing albums as well.
Thank you.
You had the first EP go to #1.
Yes, sir.
Is that EP all overall or EP rock, or is it you just hit?
The day it came out, it was at #1 on the Billboard album charts. So
amazing work, and that was from, like you said. First off, too, to go into Boggy Depot, which you did with Jerry. That album is one of my favorite albums to this day. It's in my top 15, top 10 albums.
Excellent. I love that. Me too.
Yeah, he hit that peak right there. I was like, ooh, this is good. So, that's amazing. You go all the way back to even, you talk about you were one of the mixers or you got a Justice for All with Metallica. So there's a controversial where everybody talks about where's the bass. So I've heard like some of the people that worked on it say they were told by Lars not to and them to tone it down with the bass. And then he said at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, why'd you mix it like that? And somebody said they wanted to kill him because he didn't remember, or he didn't want to remember.
Oh, he remembers.
Mm-hmm. I bet. So what was it like working with them at the peak of that kind of young guys, full on? And
that was a lot different than any recording experience I had had to that point in time.
I figured
because of the way we recorded. Lars was always taught that the harder he hits the drums, the better they sound. So, the velocity of their music, and, he has great upper body strength. So, the velocity of their music, and he's hitting everything as hard as he can. Well, the song Justice is 9 minutes long and 9 and change. So, we had to stop a few times. And, when you're on 2-inch tape, like, how do you get it going again?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had to edit. And we edited, and that's the way we got the drums. And they I learned a lot about how to tune a drum, how to get back the sound of a drum, and so on and so forth. I learned so much about recording in that process that it was pretty crazy. It took literally 6 months to do the drums and another month to do the rest of the record.
Okay.
I think it still stands as one of the heaviest metal records of all time.
Oh yeah,
and it definitely defined a sound and an era. And I'm very proud of my work and those boys' work on that record, and being steadfast to what they know and what they want.
No, we were I was starting to play and take music seriously and stuff, and I was initially more into, like I said, the Kiss, and the Motley Crue. I had theater pain too, like they did.
Oh yeah.
And
I worked on that one too.
There you go. Now there's a story. I'm okay. You just set that up. Good. We need like 3 parts, so I can talk to Jay too, is more about Holmes and you.
I can talk.
I know. I'm coming to you in a second.
Talk to the guy that made the records, but I can throw in wherever you need me to.
No, yeah. Feel free to chime in if you have anything to add into any questions about any of these albums too. Like I said, we're all here together. So, and I don't have a co-host, so you're technically, I guess, my co-host right now.
I'll be your co-host.
So I gave you a Grammy and a job. Now look at that, and you just
wait.
Let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, Metallica.
Yes,
that's right.
That was, by the way, that is Tom's first album, Master of Puppets, that he ever bought with his own money. So I threw that in there for you, Mr. Osa.
Co-host. There we are. So here's a quick funny story. Well, not funny, but just kind of like ironic, maybe, or perhaps whatever. So grew up in the middle of nowhere in Canada. One of my friends got the Justice record, well, the tape. And I was like the Motley Crue Bon Jovi guy, big chorus, all this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, hey, listen to this tape, but you have to listen to this one song because it's the least crazy of the songs on Justice for All, which is one, because, starts off clean and all the rest of it. So I, skipped 4 positions on the Ghetto Blaster kind of thing and went to the part where the song started and listened to it, and then it got into the heavy middle part and all the rest of that. So then fast forward to 2 years ago today, when Metallica came through town.
Oh yeah.
Toby was invited, and we went down to the show and all the rest of it, and went back afterwards, and we're in the dressing room, and Head was there from Korn and Lars and all the rest of it and all this. And Toby and I were just talking, and he was obviously catching up with him, and I'd worked with Lars 20 years ago when he'd signed a band from Vancouver when he had a record company under the Elektra.
Right.
When Metallica was on Elektra and all the rest of it. Mm. So we were talking, Toby was talking, and then Lars was like, hey, what are you guys doing now? And I'm like, what do you mean, in life or like now? And he's like, hey, we've got this restaurant that we have for a party, like 25, 30 people are going to be at it. It's food, booze, all the rest of it. It's Thursday night. I believe it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Nice.
So next thing you know, It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Here we go.
And Toby and I, the Kirk and Robert Trio, and then your other friend was there too. What was the guitar player guy?
Who's that?
Salas?
Oh yeah, Stevie Salas. Yeah,
Salas, yeah.
Good friend of Trujillo's. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guitar player.
And
Awesome
Aziz
guitar.
Ansari was there, the comedian.
Yep.
So it was just, but I guess to go with where I was going with the story with this is that, you know, in 1988, I'm listening to this tape in, you know, my friend's parents' basement. And then fast forward like 22 years and here we are at this thing. And then a couple days later, Toby, me, and Lars are sitting having tea in the Gulch in Nashville, talking about a bunch of different things. So it was that's interesting to have a full circle conversation, you know.
I kind of have the same vibe as you with doing this podcast, because excuse me, we are sitting there. I'll see in the scope of when if you both get to meet Tom and I together. I'm the one that knows every detail about everything about the bands I like, and you know I love the facts and the nooks and crannies in the making the record. Tom is a musician as well. He's a drummer, and I wouldn't say he doesn't care or is not interested in music and and reading biographies and autobiographies and things. But I think he's more of a general. He's got more of the general questions than I do. So it balances out very well. So a lot of the people that we're interviewing are people that I saw in concert, like you're mentioning, and now I have their they text me now, and it's a trip. Because and I'm not the type that gets starstruck or fanboy kind of that's not how I am, but and my wife isn't like that either. My wife met Lawrence Taylor because her mom worked in as a bartender in one of her his clubs, and she was in there doing her homework at 16, and he said to her, "Hey, you a fan of the Giants?" And she's like, "What do you think about the team?" And my wife said to him, "Well, if you don't suck like this year, I'll be happier." Or something to that degree to him. So that's what I'm married to, a Jersey girl from
right on
Jersey girl. But it's really cool to be able to get to know people that inspired you, and have that, and then just have them like, I sit down, look at my phone, and I'm like, oh wow, and it's just neat to meet these people that I looked up to, and now I'm kind of looking equal with. It's a cool experience, and it came out of the negativity of 2020. Tom and I have stayed active as friends, but he's still out in New York, whereas I'm from New Jersey initially, and we played together. And I moved to Austin, so where it's not like we can just get together for dinner, on a Saturday easy. But with Zoom, we started to talk to each other more and reconnect, and then it just popped in my head. Why don't we, I have a lot of musician friends that I'm Facebook friends with. And let me see if some of these people want to come on and talk to us. And, I have to say, Mitch LaFon, the rock journalist, who's up in Canada, is the first person I reached out to. And he interviews everybody, And I think he's done 40 podcasts in about the last month and a half with, I think, everybody from Brian May from Queen, Wright Said Fred, believe it or not. He did interview Wright Said Fred that wrote I'm Too Sexy. And I was like, how did you come up with that one?
Well, I'm too sexy for this shirt too.
Yeah, well. Well, we were not that type of podcast, Jay. At least that's when we get into.
Now, as a co-host, you gave me a job. It's time to branch out here.
Oh, well, we can branch out if you'd like. We can do the subscription version of Jay's night.
Subscription flannel.
That's right.
There you go.
So, so no, I think it's a neat experience. And we thought that obviously musicians can't go out there and promote their stuff as easy in 2020 because you can't play live really. Luckily in Texas, they do drive-in, like we have arenas, and they set up the stages in the parking lot. And you basically get for like for $100, you get 4 tickets. You drive there, and then they give you an extra spot to tailgate in, and they can pack a few thousand they can pack a few thousand cars in there, and if it's 4 people in the car, they might even be holding more than some of these little arenas that they hold, So so some shows are going on, and things seem to be opening up a little bit. And we're not having any major problems, I don't think. So that's a good thing. But yeah, it was about doing something positive and having an opportunity to do something fun that we would enjoy. And look where we are. I got Jay. He's already talking about maybe wanting a strip or something. I don't know.
No, see? Gets crazy in here.
Well, that's when we have a like subscription night. And
right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Saturday nights with Jay.
Yeah, that's it. That's on Tomes Thursdays.
We can have you stripped to like Tomes.
Getting you ready for the weekend. Surprisingly enough, there is a tonality in there that helps men in their areas of need and helps women
too.
That's
right.
Well,
is aroused and
let's hope you guys worked on that separately to see the results.
See, you're going down a path that can be very, very dangerous.
No, I'm just.
That's very true.
I'm just. Okay, let's keep. We like to have some.
Let's talk about Alice in Chains some more.
Go ahead.
Woo!
Nice segue. And you have 68 countries behind you that could be like, they all have their ears peaked up.
You're
That's
correct. Right. And every one of them has heard no excuses.
Yes, there you go. You probably have, yeah, true. Absolutely. So who wants to take that one? Because I wasn't there for it, but I am definitely a fan. And I went back and revisited a lot of the albums that I have bought that are on my phone still. In my never-ending playlist, as Mitch likes to say, as his is. I went back and listened to them, and then I went and did a little extra research out there, with you through YouTube and things. Of some stuff I hadn't heard, and I pretty much enjoy most of it, and I think it's all quality. And obviously, they had somebody directing them in a great way. People, producing is obviously more than just getting good sounds.
Yes.
You can be so deep into what you're doing as a musician. You're not hearing something that could come in to be added to it. You're not hearing something that needs to be taken out. It's too personal. And your job is to get in there and mingle with those personalities and direct, make that music reach more people, but still being, holding its integrity. And,
absolutely.
If Jay has anything either to add to that statement or a follow-up with it, but we talked about Alice in Chains. Give us the story on that. And, they had some issues too, obviously, personality or personal, we don't have Lane here anymore, unfortunately. And so, how did that affect the creativity too? And I don't want to focus on negatives. I'm just talking about, personality of a band, I think affects the music and where the songs go. Cause you did what they call the Dog album, the 3-Legged Dog album too, self-titled.
I did.
And that album has a lot of like vibe where they seemed like they had something to get out. And not that all their music didn't have some of that vibe, but that one had something else to it.
Yeah, it was a dark period for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah, you can definitely hear it. Because I wanted to capture all of their emotions, from, sad, happy, glad, mad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And, with the songs, it was written kind of in the studio over a long period of time. And it, that particular record.
Now, wait. Can I interrupt for a second? When you say
sure,
written in the studio, now was that some sort of a plan on your part to maybe keep them out of trouble or keep them focused, or just the way it just happened naturally?
It kind of just happened naturally that way, okay. Because there was some goings on at the time, and Lane and Jerry. Lane didn't want to go to the studio, and then he did want to go to the studio, and so that's how we wrote Grind. First of all, I went to Seattle and hung out with Jerry for a while, and we were doing quote unquote demos for the record, and that they came to pass that, oh, wait, this is actually going to be the record. But, what happened was that he was trying to get everybody amped up to do a record, right? By, having the rumor start that, hey, Toby's up there with Jerry and they're making some music and what the hell's going on? That kind of stuff was, we were trying to get everybody's creative juices flowing again, right? Because in '94, when we made Jar of Flies, it was, it just happened so quickly. It was 10 days, no songs, nothing. And then, boom, 10 days later, we had a full-blown EP that debuted at #1. So, but that was it was a different time than the Dog record because, they had just come back from the Lollapalooza tour, and they were on fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, they wrote everything again in the studio and boom, 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 but it all fell down, right? It just like boom, 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 boom. And, we were there for 16, 18 hours a day and we were just working our butts off, right? And then, at the end of it, done. So, conversely with the Dog record, that took a little longer because they weren't as prepared then. Jerry had some songs, but then we got in the studio and we started jamming, and we had a whole bunch of songs and, a bunch of them got flushed out. And, we're not going to work on that one anymore and don't like it, blah, blah, blah. And, Lane likes this one over here, so we're going to write that one and so on and so forth. And so that's how the songs evolved, and it was kind of Lane's pick, basically, of all the tracks that we had laid down.
Okay. Well, I would say as a listener, I had the albums before the Dog record, and they were pretty much. I just heard them as a metal band. I didn't count them as grunge. They just seemed like a Sabbath-y kind of band with different melodies and harmonies, and it gave me that vibe. But I never found them that hard to listen to. Meaning, I was in on the first play. The Alice in Chains self-titled record, the Dog record, that one was like, it triggered a response in me emotionally by like the second or third song where I like had to take a break. And then and it grew on me as an album. And even now when it pops on and I listen to it, like I said, I listened to it just the other day, it affected me. It did. There was something in there that's in those songs, in the sounds of the songs, that definitely triggered a response that was different than their other albums.
Right.
And I don't know how to explain it other than the fact it just did, and it's a positive thing. But I like music that does that, And the other
absolutely.
But it was more of your general like. I just love this song and it's catchy and I'm singing to it and that kind of reaction. Whereas there was a different, thing underneath it that stuck there with me.
Right. Well, it was a very emotional record and a very emotional time for, all of us in the camp. And, it just, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it.
Anything you want to chime in about it, Jay, about
I was a consumer of.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm talking about as a fan of it or a consumer.
Oh yeah. No, when I heard it, I was like, probably the biggest thing to stand out of that record was the No Excuses part of the drum line of it was so like nothing I'd ever heard before. And I'm like, what? Because Sean Kinney's a fantastic drummer, right? And he's a super funny guy to hang around, right? Because somebody should give him a TV show. You know what I mean? But you heard that, and you heard like Whale and Wasp or like Nutshell. Like Nutshell is this song that's taken on, I would say probably out of the songs on that record, you have all these people that song really resonated with singers from Aaron Lewis to a band that I worked with for right from their start, Theory of a Dead Man. They played in their set. There's this other rap country guy that lives near Nashville here called Upchurch. He does a fantastic version of Nutshell also. So that was like one of those songs, but we were talking about this the other day, that with with a band like Alice in Chains or bands of our time, you know, the Guns N' Roses, the Metallicas, when these people sang these songs, you believed them. You were there.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Nowadays, not trying to sound like an old person, and maybe I'm not in touch with what's going on, but when I hear something, you're not in that moment anymore. I'd love to discover the next Guns N' Roses, or hear the next Alice in Chains, or hear the next Metallica play. But I don't think the people have, or the musicians or whatever, they don't have that kind of, like, the thing that makes it magical. I don't know if that's around anymore.
Yeah, but you know what, you're saying that, but I don't think there's, well, for one, there's not the same record company apparatus that it was like back in the day. So, but obviously I don't think that the record company structures the same in that sense. But there's albums that, and I don't know if you're a fan of it, but I lived in Oregon for a while, and they had a record store in there, and I could go in and like trade CDs and different things. And I walked in and they were playing the first Hootie and the Blowfish album that had, like, sold millions and millions and tons of copies. And I heard it in the background, and I was like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's this band from South Carolina, And I said, "There you go. Give me a copy of that. I want to hear it." And I liked it. I think I was listening to it. It had to be like 7-8 months before it blew up. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the same thing with Guns N' Roses. I think that album came out almost for a year. And before it really caught on, and will a band these days get that chance?
No, but let's
or
play
three albums like in back in the day, you get that 3-album shot kind of thing.
Right. But here's a question for you. We'll play the rock and roll trivia. Who was the person that was like the biggest fan of Guns N' Roses after, like, a year after the record came out, sold a couple 100,000? Who was the major driving point that kept them there and put them on tour and all the rest of it? Do you know the answer?
Ooh. And obviously it wasn't in their camp, so it was on the outside.
No, somebody was a huge fan of them and needed a party buddy on the road.
You stumped me.
Nikki Sixx.
Oh, okay, Bolly Crew, yeah.
Yeah, Nikki Sixx and Slash were buddies, and they just love partying together, and like Welcome to the Jungle. Like, seriously, what else do you need after that? And one of your other guests here is the guy that used to mix Guns N' Roses at the Roxy.
Yeah, I did the Roxy. I did the Cinderella Ballroom or whatever the hell that thing was called, and
like 1985.
It was 83 or 4. It was before the studio work. Well, actually during studio work, but I was more of a builder at that point than an engineer, and I met Slash and started mixing his band live, and they were called Hollywood Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the days.
I saw them on the Appetite tour. Where they filmed actually part of the Paradise City video. I was there. It was at Giant Stadium in New Jersey, and they opened up for Deep Purple on Aerosmith, and I think it was the Permanent Vacation tour for Aerosmith, with the dude looks like a lady and everything. And I will say my one memory is Guns N' Roses were really good. Deep Purple destroyed everybody that day, though. They just came out on fire, and they right in the middle slot of those two great bands, and they were like, watch what we got, and I don't think they were together that much longer with Richie Blackmore, but that was a great show, though. So I have that memory burned inside my head. We have been talking. We're going on 2.5 hours. So I actually have to be up at, I'm in Central Time, so it's 10:30 my time. I actually have to be up at like around 5:30 in the morning. So if we can maybe do another 10 minutes or so. And then we obviously, and I think
we got a part 2.
Yeah, do a part 2 and have Jay back, obviously, so we can go back over.
Of course.
What? Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's your new co-host. You'll have 2 co-hosts now.
Yeah, we'll have double co-hosts. actually, how does that work? It's funny because I introduced Tom one time as like, I'm your one host and your two host here. And then in the next episode, I let him do it. And he goes, I guess I'm your two host, but I'm okay with that. And I was like, I didn't mean it that way.
I'll be the janitor from Canada.
The janitor.
Yes, I'll be the Canadian.
Yeah, I bring my cleanup boy with me.
Yeah,
You're
glad to be here.
the Grammy Award winning from the
Custodial engineer.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Custodial engineer.
Let's end on that then. Since we've been going back and forth with the Grammy joke, you've won multiple Grammys. Give us the rundown there. How it felt in that night and those nights, and we can wrap it up that way. And
oh God, it felt amazing. One of the first ones was with Metallica and Stone Cold Crazy for engineering on that one.
That was for the Queen album,
and
album or something. Or was that?
Was it Concrete? No, that was one of the B-sides.
I know it ended up on a Queen tribute thing from when Freddie Mercury died. That might have been later.
Yeah, that did. Was it Concrete or something?
Okay.
I think it was the Concrete marketing people that grabbed that one and put it on there.
Okay.
And then there was the old Wallflowers and one headlight for engineering as well.
Did you see? Did you just just for that song? Did you see the movie, the Staten Island movie with Bill Burr and the guy from Saturday Night Live, The King of Staten Island, I think it's called? There's a great scene with that song in it. So watch that movie and hear that great production quality to that amazing song. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. And then, what was that other one, Jay?
No, there's two Metallicas.
I know.
What was the other one?
Right. There was the joke. Thank you. You got it.
It was the heavy metal performance the year after Jethro Tull put the record out.
I sat back because I knew where you were going with that.
Yes. So it all comes back around to this number one.
Right.
2-1. Yes. And I also did a Reels TV show recently. We got interviewed on that for who was the song, or what was the song? I think it was called, or something like that, right?
Story of the songs.
Story of the song. Thank you.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun to talk about one and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, those are the three, and then there's a fourth one that I don't mention that much, but stop smiling, Jay. And it was with Megadeth.
Nice. Another great band. Now, let's do this. We had. I'm going to wrap it up on this one, and I misinformed you when I said let's end it on the Grammy. I think this would be a good way to end episode 1. I was looking, obviously, through your list of credits, and I saw that were you an engineer on? Because now I got to go through the list, but you were on Sammy Hagar's solo album that you worked on, where he had already been in Van Halen. I'll Never Say Goodbye.
Yes, I believe I mixed that record.
Okay, you mixed it, yes. And so Eddie Van Halen played bass on it, and now we obviously lost Mr. Van Halen tragically. And maybe if there's anything, if you got to meet him during those sessions, and anything you want to relay about, share about that.
I didn't meet Eddie then.
I never met him before.
I met Eddie with Ron Nevison, and in one of our sessions with one of the artists that he was producing, and but yeah, Eddie was quite a character. We had a lot of fun. But yeah, the Sammy record, I love that man, and I love that record that I mixed for him. It was great. It was at the plant in Sausalito, and we just had a blast, and I just think he's one of the best out there, period.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his, and I'd love to interview him. I know that you mixed his Red Voodoo album, which I think is great. That one has Mas Tequila on it, and that one is for my wife and I. We go away to Mexico. We're members of a resort, so we go to Riviera Maya twice a year, and of course that's on the vacation playlist. And we're always playing it on the Bluetooth. And I got up a couple times and sang at karaoke. and you know, it killed it. So that was it's a fun song. Yeah, but I think he also that album did have a song called I don't know if you remember every detail because you've done so many. There's a song called Deeper Side of Love or Deeper Kind of Love that he did, and I listened to that the other day and I was like, this is like, and I was thinking of how it was mixed, and that the way it was mixed is just something that I found it really made the song stronger, and I think it's a great song anyway. But yeah, now Sammy definitely has a personality and is always giving us quality.
Absolutely.
And so I can't say anything else. Now let you maybe jump in here. You want to start there with Tomes?
Yeah, we can start with Tomes. That's no problem. Well, what would you like to know about Tomes?
Do that thing you do.
Do that thing I do.
Yeah, do the thing you do. The way you do the thing you do. So we'll go into Temptations mode. Well, what made you come up with the idea and you know, something motivated you to want to do something positive, obviously. Not that everything we try to do in our lives is somewhat positive, but you know, it motivated you to go in that direction with, you know, audio and sound and different things like that.
Well, I had been, you know, involved in audio since I was a young man. Mm-hmm. And you know, always loved all the sound stuff. Right, it very much attracted me, and so, excuse me, I was in a car wreck in 05 or 07 or something like that, and had very bad nerve damage to the whole right side of my body. And I saw lots of doctors, of course. Ended up in the hospital, blah blah blah, and when all they wanted to do was give me pain medicine, it was kind of annoying because I wasn't in pain at all. I was numb. Right. So I took to the internet and hopefully I would find something there. Had no idea what I would find there. And I found this thing after much searching called sound healing. Mm-hmm. And I started really, you know, reading hundreds of websites and thousands of pages on it. Started gathering some information about frequencies and how they affect the brain and the body and the nervous system and the skin and, you know, how just what is all this stuff, you know, and I had no idea of what I was getting myself into. And I think it was probably about 3 months into my research. I had a studio in Woodland Hills, California at the time, and I decided I'd run in there and spend a little while and just, you know, make something that with all these, you know, with all these frequencies. And so I chose sine waves and decided, okay, well, let's see, we got, you know, this list of 25 or 26 different frequencies. So I'm just going to put them in to Pro Tools here real quick and see what happens.
Right.
Well, I put them in there like as in a session and stuff, and no problem. And I listened back to it. I was like, that's really yuck. What's that supposed to do? Mm-hmm. And then I got an idea. I was like, what if I actually mix it? Right. And so I started mixing it using a certain formula that I learned way back in the day about the theory of electronics and how music works, how power works, how sound works, and started, you know, just applied that formula to stuff and came up with a really cool sounding, I call it a tonality. Okay. And, you know, after that, I put it on CD, took it home, started taking naps with it. And, you know, to this day, I can feel the whole right side of my body, thankfully. Is it all tomes? I don't know. But I will say that time, you know, definitely heals as well. So it's been a long time. And so during that time, I chased this dream of, you know, helping people. Mm-hmm. And knowing that, you know, this helped me and it helped me get to sleep and, you know, do all kinds of crazy stuff that, you know, I started with, I introduced my buddy Jay to it, and he thought it was really cool. And, you know, turned his kids and his family onto it. And, you know, he was a little blown away. And so you know, he's like, you have to make this, you have to get this out to the public. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, how? Like, it has to stay in wave form, you know, which is an uncompressed wave file. Right. Has to stay that way. I tried it in MP3, didn't work. I mean, it sounded the same, but it wasn't even close to the same. It didn't test the same at all, because MP3, when it does its compression thing, it just likes to, cut off frequencies, highs and lows. And that's how it, achieves such minimalization, if you will. And so, Jay decided, we're going to look into this thing. And I said, like, man, we got to have those WAV files. And so I did. And, we just started pounding on it. And, how many developers do we go through, Jay? I don't know.
Well, about half a dozen developers in over 10 years.
Right.
because, let's look at when this is like 2009, 2010 time frame. Toby brings me these DVDs of these burned, sounds, and what do you do? 2009, 2010. There isn't Spotify. There isn't streaming. There isn't Netflix. So Toby's like, we have to put this on the internet. I'm like, well, I'm all ears. Do you have any clue how to do this? Let me know. And it didn't exist. So we've literally tried. The best part of this is we've tried and failed so many times just because of the nature of what it is. Like, now in 2021, everything's smaller, quicker, faster, YouTube, Vimeo, all this other stuff. And then you got these two guys that want to change the world that are going bigger, larger than a Netflix high definition movie, all this stuff. So finally, well,
I'm sure a lot of people thought the Wright brothers were crazy too,
Well, people think we're crazy. Yeah. So, you are correct. So there's only one Wright brother here right now. Yeah. So that was kind of the idea of going through it. And then when you speak to these different people, they say, oh yeah, I can do this. And then you bring it to the table, and then all of a sudden it gets challenging. So going through the scope of things, we'll obviously go into whatever parts you want to go into, but we were on the perceived to be largest, strongest cloud-based computing system in the world.
Right. Okay.
Which was consequently the most expensive.
Now, not to freak in for a second, just to let you know what we were kind of doing. I explained that to Toby, is that, you have every podcast, there's millions of them out there, obviously. So we try to be a little bit unique. Now, obviously, while we want to promote the product, one of the things I think that people that do this don't focus on is really who they're talking to as a person. So as you go, the enthusiasm I'm seeing and how hard the effort that you put into what you're doing, it's resonating with me. And I think it's going to resonate with other people. And I think that is the humans that are in front of me talking about something they created is just as good as what the product may be, because you have a positive reason to do it. So I'll just shut up and let you continue so you can just feel comfortable talking.
You can tell me to shut up whenever you want, because we'll be talking the next March. If you let me go.
Only March? You're letting me down, buddy.
Well, partially. Right, but that, therein lies the part of it of, Toby's made all these records, won several Grammys, made a lot of the records that I loved as a fan of hard rock and heavy metal. Brings this idea basically on a napkin or a DVD in 2009 and goes, hey, we need to put this and bring this to the people, because it's going to, people sleep better. And obviously people, for some reason, and perhaps now it's taking a turn, that sleep is, honestly, and matter of fact, the most important piece of the puzzle. You'll die without sleep before food or water.
Well,
so that's your foundation.
Yep.
Then the rest.
See, now for me, in getting to know Toby and having asked him to come on, when he mentioned Tomes, I got hurt really bad on a job in 2011. And I was carrying a flat screen TV with a gentleman, and he didn't tell me that there was a step in the sidewalk. And so I slipped on my left knee, went down. He let go of the TV. It was 60-inch. It threw me to the right. Instinct made me want to save it because I'm at work, and I need, I want to provide for my family. And in 1 second, I did like literally in that little fall, which I guess was a big fall, did 4 discs in my neck, damaged the thyroid, tore a rotator, and 3 discs in my back.
Wow.
Yeah.
From a TV? Wow.
From the weight of when he let go,
Right.
threw me with the weight from the 60-inch flat screen, and I wasn't balanced. Like when I hit my knee before I went flying real quick over to the right, it actually split the seam out of a work boot. That's how hard the force was of me going and getting hurt. And initially, I actually only I went to the hospital that day. I only missed 1 day at work, and went back. But then it started. You could see the results from that building and building and building. And over the years, I used to run 5 miles a day and was very healthy. I can barely walk to my car now. So this is something that has really triggered my interest to want to, see if it can help me, because you walk into a doctor's office, and I'm not knocking doctors, but a few of the ones I've had, they spend about 6 minutes with you, 7 minutes with you. They don't really listen if you're trying to explain something to them, and then they're out to the in the next room, and
On to the next.
And I don't want to sit there and just be pilling it up or doing, you don't want to do negative things in your life. And I'm going to be 50. I want to be around. I got kids and a beautiful wife and grandkids now.
Right on.
And things to do. So I think that this is something that is great to motivate people to heal. And I'll let you can have the floor again.
Well, and when you say that, people need to realize that the world is sound and light. Everything, the composition, everything has a resonant frequency. Everything is everything due to the relationship of it to each other.
Right.
Right. So Toby going through and doing all the research, learning, what's the area of stress and addiction, and we have stuff to do with cataracts and tinnitus, and which is in the sound healing section. There's stuff to do with lullabies, because a lot of our friends are in the hard rock, heavy metal, this live playing kind of area that were around before there were in-ear monitors.
Yeah.
And
right.
People perhaps had a couple drinks and a variety of other things that impaired their judgment at the time, and now have tinnitus that's crippling, and there's nothing they can really do about it. Obviously, the sleeping thing, due to the last 12 months of the world, is now in a completely different category than it was beforehand.
Right.
Because people honestly don't know what day it is, what month is it, what's this, what's that, what kind of propaganda are you watching on television? Like, do I have a job? Do I have money? Am I getting $600? Are we is someone burning the city down? Right. All that stuff is just it's crazy. So with what we're talking about here is your brain syncs to its surroundings, regardless of what you're doing. If you're running around, if it's light, if it's this, if you're listening to Slayer, Michael Bublé, God knows who, whatever the case is, whatever floats your boat.
I've done that on my phone back to back, actually.
Well, there you go.
That's my playlist too.
You have Raining Blood and your Michael Bublé Christmas record you just got done listening to.
The 4,000 songs I have on my iPhone, when I'm driving or something, it's on shuffle, and it can get quite interesting. The where we go from in the random shuffle there.
Oh, I'm with you. So when you play a tones file, like for me, I would call myself conditioned, and Toby would be conditioned to it by now,
right?
Because he's used it every day since he's created it.
Right.
I can put it on for a minute, and we stand behind everything 1,000%, period, regardless. If people won't want to listen to things, they're like, I keep turning this up louder and louder and it doesn't work. Well, if you read the instructions, that says listen to it just loud enough.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of stuff going on in all of the tonalities underpinning the sounds, because there's the tonality by itself in the sleep section, and then there's stuff for There's waterfalls, there's rain, there's crystalline, like rain freezing hitting a lake. There's fan sounds, storms, waves, and all the rest of it.
Yes.
So just loud enough to hear it will have your brain sync to the sound that you're hearing. And that's all you need to do. Additionally, what he did is we've created a way to, you can set the timer, 30 minutes to 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say it right here, the only company in the world that can stream a WAV file uncompressed for longer than 6.5 hours, we can do it for as long as anyone would ever need.
Wow.
Then so.
What Toby's put on there is now on the tail. So you put a 6 hour, 7 hour file, you choose it in the selector.
Mm-hmm.
The last 15 minutes wake you up. So it takes you through your evening, REM, all of your sleep, this different stages of everything else. And then 15 minutes to when you want to wake up, it starts speeding up. And some people, and perhaps, some people have come to us and said that they don't need to drink coffee because people rely on coffee. They
get shot in the morning.
Well, right. You get bored to sleep with one of the 2,700 meditation apps that are being shoved down your throat that perhaps bore you to death and you just fall asleep. You don't have the regeneration while you're sleeping because your body needs to rest and recover when you're asleep. That's what sleeping is. If you don't really do it, then you wake up with a deficit from the day before, then creates pensiveness, anxiety, depression, all of these things. So if you deal with the stuff that needs to get dealt with, basically you have a clean slate when you start the next day. You have this, the arise tonality gets you ready for the day, and then you don't have to go to Starbucks and spend $5 on a coffee that I couldn't even make up, double this, that, gluten-free, sugar, God knows what thing. So for $9.99 a month, you can have this in your hand anywhere that there's internet in the world. And our stuff affects everybody the same. So it doesn't matter what country you're from, what language you speak, any of it.
But my wife and I were laughing the other day. We got the one in the 10-year random snowstorm in Texas. And we were driving home and they don't know how to plow. And I'm from New Jersey originally. So we moved out here 6, 7, or 8 years ago or something. And even though it was horrible out, there was a line up the block with the Starbucks. And she went, "You really need it now? In a snowstorm, in a blizzard that you don't know how to drive in?" So
you're like, subscribe to Tomes. It's way better.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with it. They should have Tomes, a drive-through for Tomes now. And that'll be, we sell that then for you.
Tomes Bucks. We accept Apple Pay. Just scan your thing. There you go.
I'm
on your way.
I think it's a great idea.
You don't even.
If anything else you want to speak about and talk about, Tomes, please feel free. Well, we're here.
Ask us any sort of, because there's a variety of different things we can talk about. Obviously, I've touched on the part that we've got 4 different sections currently. Right. We have our sleep section. We've got our sound healing section, which offers 16 different options for obviously 16 different things. We have a lullaby section, and we've got a newly launched high performance section for athletes, motivation, in the back of the kind of in your office, in the back, kind of, up tempo stuff to kind of help you through the low spots of the current world that we're.
Well, in my life, like I said, and I don't want to keep getting into too much of it, but I do suffer with the sleep. I wake up pretty much every couple hours with some sort of, leg going. I have circulation issues in my legs. That's probably my biggest annoyance out of anything, from the back stuff and everything. And I gained weight from what I would do was that when I used to run, we would get to wintertime in Jersey, and then I would stop running during the winter because it's blizzard time, And
Right.
I would gain my 35-pound beer belly. And then when we got to March, I'd go back out and get back, in shape. And with the thyroid thing, it just was like an extra 10 pounds, or 20 pounds, or 30. So my wife was like, you better go back to the doctors because something else is wrong with you. And then they kind of found that out, So the sleep part is obviously, and you covered a bunch of that just a minute or two ago, is important to me. And the healing part. Now, as far as being like amped up, I think that would be something. My wife, she also has issues with fibromyalgia, and a lot of people don't take it seriously. Living with her, I do.
Right.
She's even tried CBD stuff and different things like that. But she's also one of those people that just doesn't stop. Go, 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 go. And she runs the food and beverage and dietary in a hospital here. And obviously she never got the, being an essential worker, never got the break. And she's just, if everybody else goes home, she's going to be there and finish the job. And so I think that's something that might, the high performance part also might cover something that would benefit her. And I've talked to her about the product, and we're going to give it a shot, definitely for us. And I'm doing it even just because you were great to come on. That's my thank you as well. Right. And noting the effort that you guys put in
Well, thank you.
Wanting them to do something like this, I think is genuine, because look, you spoke about 2020, and 2021 starting off quite interesting too. And,
right.
With a lot of the negative that goes on in the world, and I said this to Striper's Michael Sweet, who was our last interview of our first season, and we spoke to him around Christmas time, ironically, and I said, we need positive messages more than ever these days. There's too many people biting at each other and bickering and fighting over stuff, yep. and sometimes I sit there and I go, man, back when I was a kid, while there's a lot of progression and change and things in the world. So I think sometimes people got along a little bit better because they didn't seem to care about what everything was happening in someone's bedroom or somebody's business in their house or whatever,
Right.
Unless it was something dramatic, like, somebody was getting hurt or something,
murder.
Yeah, right. Something like that. So, but I think the positivity is something that, I think is genuine in looking at how your passion is in talking and speaking about it. So, like I said, my question is well, how did you pick the 4 categories anyway? Since you started wanting to feel better physically from the accident that you had, Toby. So, and then branch out to the other, like the high performance part.
So the categories kind of came about because sleep is pretty much the easiest thing. Like Jay said, we all have to do it, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't sleep, you die, period, before food and water. So the whole thing came about with, just when we went to put it on the internet, what's the, what they call the low hanging fruit, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has to sleep. Let's try that first. And I had a bunch of these sound healing, tonalities already made that I had been using for years and passing out to friends and that kind of stuff. But it was, just wanting to help people and get positive, results from the website at first and go from there. Okay. And, then we introduced the sound healing thing last December. And then on the turn of the year, we introduced the sound healing. Okay. Sorry, the high performance.
High performance. Yep.
Right. And so, those are all, they all go hand in hand. It was just a matter of, when we decided to unveil them to the public, basically.
Okay. Like I said, is there any particular one that, Jay, that you like to use the most?
I guess it's preference.
Okay.
But, I use the au naturel sound, which is the tonality by itself. So it doesn't have water sounds over it or wind or any of the rest of it, which is, everything has the same impact, but for people, it's also our most used tonality.
Right.
By about 60%, people use that by itself.
Right.
But due to what it is, some people like coloring. It's like, I love black. Well, I'm wearing blue today, but I'd wear black everything. Some people want different colored things. So people want, we find that men tend to like waterfall sounds.
Right.
Women like rain sounds.
Rain, yeah.
Kids like, crashing waves for some reason. All of it is so fascinating. And like I was saying, it's something that has to happen. Like you have to sleep. That's it. Like what else do you spend 1/3 of your life doing, or you should be spending 1/3 of your life doing, that people seem to think that they can shortchange the most, which is not my opinion. It's literally the most important part. You look at all the most successful people, say current day, a guy like Jeff Bezos does all of his important meetings between 8 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock in the morning, because after 10 o'clock, in his opinion, his best thinking is gone. You wake up.
Well, that's fascinating.
You do your thing. Then you make your big decisions for the day. And then you see how many billions of dollars you made that afternoon from the decisions you made in the morning.
Good way to do it.
Yeah.
Or you make bad decisions at 2:30 and
see how much money you lost.
That's right.
Well, right. So it's that type of stuff. And you look at like Einstein, Einstein's famous quote that we just put up is the future of healing is in frequencies. And people have a very storied kind of opinion of him. Although if I asked you, what's one of the most famous, one of the smartest people that you can think of right now, of then, you probably say Einstein. Now I would say Elon Musk.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't really understand him. And if you're watching this, give me a call. Because having a nap in your Tesla that's driving itself is a pretty awesome plan.
That's right.
I met one of his assistants once, and they were quite unique as well. We have festivals like South by Southwest and stuff down here in Austin, and I was around, and I ran into the guy, and he was the way he was thinking wasn't just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was up there, and it was him trying to have like a chit chat conversation. And I was like, all right, well, I didn't have my Starbucks for this conversation, all right?
Well, I think you have to eat the cup after you get done to try to get it. But the guy
wanted to run in and hide in one.
Right, but he thinks so advanced that you're just, what? Like, you look at, so you have fascinating people like this. Okay, so then, we can talk about Tesla and Amazon and all the rest of it, but we're really concerned with tones. So it's available everywhere on Earth, wherever there's internet. You don't have to worry about shipping. You don't have to worry about returns. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You go on and you don't even have to worry about going to Apple to get an app that needs to be continuously updated because someone decides that the operating system has to change.
Right.
You can literally, and all the instructions are on our Facebook business page. You can literally make a home screen shortcut in 30 seconds or less on your iPhone that functions exactly the same and arguably better than an app would for the Tomes application, for the entire website. Everything is there in one touch.
And when this comes out, this interview, you will see all the links to everything in here and the graphics promoting it. That's one of the things that Tom does and I'm learning, where we try to stand out a little bit. He does web design. He owns a web design company, so we try to put it in, like, if we speak about an album with Toby, you're going to see the album cover,
right,
and etc. So everything's going to be promoted right up there with links and all that.
Well, make sure you get high quality graphics.
Yes, we try.
and with us, I'll say this right now. you want to ask us a question, you'll ask Toby or I the questions.
Mm-hmm.
We talk to every single person at this stage of the game where we're at. We talk to every single person that has a question.
That's
our
great.
customers and are the most important thing to us.
Mm-hmm.
Our website is on a very secure payment system. Our files are on the largest content delivery network on earth. It's called Akamai. So everything is safe, secure, in your hand, plays through anything you can get the internet on.
I like I said, I'm a supporter of it, or I will be, but I am supporting it because I already looked at all the videos and everything on the website, that the link that Toby sent me, and it brought me some positivity for somebody who's also a musician, and I know it's not directed at musicians.
It's directed at everyone.
Right, but I'm saying as a musician myself, I like to have the noise, like, or the ambient sounds back in the background, and when I'm sleeping, and usually it's just some sort of like instrumental electronic stuff or whatever normally. So that kind of clicked in my wheelhouse to have that, like, if that's in the background, and my wife is not a person that wants to hear it loud, at night,
Right.
with music. And so I think it would be something like, for us, that's perfect. But
well, right. And the other part that makes it stand out too is you're talking to a guy here that's won 3 Grammys, and the record is sold close to 100 million. So the quality and attention to detail and the dynamic part of it is something that's unmatched to anyone. And if there was something else that was competitive or even in the stratosphere, I'll be the first guy to tell you.
Yeah.
There isn't.
That.
There isn't. Show me your Grammys and then have us on your podcast and we'll talk to you. Right? I don't have one. Well, I guess marginally kind of pseudo have one from association. That part doesn't matter. But, you have to go and look and see where it came from. Because quality now, especially with something like this, quality, people will pay for quality product. There's no wish action going on here. There's no one reflecting, talking, reading a book that was on Game of Thrones. None of that stuff. This is right to the thing. This is real, huge, has the whole spectrum of everything. And it's, like I said, it's free for a week. Any questions, like I said, along the way, feel free to contact us. If you're unhappy for any reason, my phone number for my phone right here is on the internet. Call me.
Right.
I don't know if Jeff Bezos gives that same that same offer.
Same service? I don't think
that
so.
he does.
Right.
But if he does, it's before 10:30.
Well, the big decisions are before 10:30.
Yes.
I may have just shot myself in the foot here, but call me. You have a question to do with Tomes? Give me a call.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you something. For me, as somebody that's been in sales in their life, and it's Tomes.com, by the way, spelled TAUMMHOMS.com. So go there and get your sounds and direct it towards what you need in your life. And even if you don't have any questions, ask them questions, because they're there.
That's right.
Everyone has a friend.
And Toby.
Right. Everyone has a friend that they know that complains about getting terrible sleep.
I think everybody I know has some sort of complaint about it in some way.
Right. Exactly. So take it.
Especially the older we get, the more we complain about everything too. So, this hurts, that hurts, this hurts, that hurts. So we're all looking for the solution. Elon Musk though would put the chip in our head and we'll be all right. So
as long as it has Tomes on it, I'm completely fine with it.
Oh,
exactly.
Now, you know what? As somebody who's been in sales in their life, okay, you get the sales Grammy right now. I'm presenting you the sales Grammy.
Awesome. There we go. I have a sales Grammy now.
That's right.
You won.
You have the Rockland Sound Sales Grammy Award.
You hear that? 14%.
And by the way, that Grammy's trademarked, not by me. So, we don't need to, I don't need a letter or an email.
It's all good.
It's in jest, people. You win the Rockland Web Design or Rockland Web, Grammy. There you go. So, no,
I'd like to thank Jethro Tull.
Excellent.
That comes from the other thing.
It'll make me cry.
Hey, if you can't laugh, what can you do? Right?
Wow.
Like, with so much negativity in the world and all this stuff and news and gloom and doom, and
I'll tell you a funny story if you want to hear it. Is that about the album that Jethro Tull, got the Grammy from Metallica for? Because it was obviously that it should have been Metallica. That album is Crest of the Knave, and I loved that album. And every time I went to play it after that, I would pick it up, and I was, a teenager at the time. I'd pick it up and just, I was like mad at the album. Like I would literally hold it and be like, and it was one of those albums that like mellowed me out because I listened to so much hard rock music, and metal music. And it was one of those ones I would put on and I loved it. And I listened to it. I've listened to it recently and I still enjoy it. But at the time I was like mad at it like it was a person. Like I resented the album. So that's how passionate you could be about music and things.
That's right.
But Jay ran off there, but apparently he left this map of the world behind him.
I'm back.
What is
that's where
he has the world.
Tomes is available in every one of those places right there. So far, in our first year, 68 countries. We're coming for the rest.
I had to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
Yes.
So
whatever you want to talk about. You want to talk about music stuff? You want to talk about more Tome stuff?
I think that we sold Tomes. I have a feeling that when this comes out, that you have a secure server, and I think people will be happy that when they go on it and start ordering it at Tomes.com. Awesome. I don't think I can ask or you did such a good job. So if anything you guys want to say, I'll give you the floor. But I do have a lot of questions to ask Toby about the music stuff as well. You're my guest here, so I'm going to accommodate the guest.
All right. So I think with the Tomes thing, without going on for 5-7 more hours here, go to the website.
And we can.
Go to the website, go through all of the stuff. Everything's covered there. If you have any suggestions, feel free to tell us. And I guess we've covered all the mountaintop pieces on it, the application of how it works, where it's available, all the rest of it. So if you want to cruise over to talk about the fabulous gentleman there, Toby Wright.
Well, you forgot one important thing, Jay.
What was the important thing I forgot?
It's only $9.99 a month.
Yes.
For now. And I will also add this to get perhaps a nomination for next year's Grammy part. That if you get it now, it will always be $9.99 for you.
That's right.
Because in the future, perhaps it may become more expensive due to expanding what we've got. But if you go now, $9.99, $99.99 a year,
that's right.
Toby will guarantee you that that's your price going forward.
Yes. And how many countries was it again that you said?
68 different countries.
68. So here's what I think. I think that if you want to set lofty goals for yourself and you get Tomes, you should try to go and use it in all 68 countries.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that should be a goal. Some people, they could go and do like a travel log of Tomes and how they slept in their different countries and how it makes them feel in their travels.
You are preaching to the choir on that. And that is one of our ideas also of going around and traveling to different parts of the world and bringing different colorings to it, like the sounds of New York City with tones, London, Bali, Tokyo, all these different places. I've been to a lot of them. Toby's been to a lot of them, but we're talking about that. And we were in talks about doing a lot of this stuff before the sidelining of last year's events.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could do it. And it would, like I said, we could go and do all these new fascinating things, which we're going to do now. The things are obviously in a much more positive light, perhaps right now. And there are also things that we offer in the sound healing section that reflect current times. I don't want to get into any of that stuff, but just go on with stuff and take a look at it, and all of it there, and it'll make you feel better. It won't make you feel worse. I can guarantee you that.
Absolutely.
Well, then you know what? I think a lot of people should stick to the positive, like I said, and let's go and investigate Tomes at tomes.com. And like I said, the link and everything will be included when this comes out. And I enjoyed talking about it, and I'm going to definitely be somebody that does use it. So you will.
Thanks for talking about it, Mike. Appreciate it.
You will hear my feedback on it as well.
Absolutely.
Now, let me try to wrap this up. Jay, thank you for being here. You are an incredible personality, and I was a
good way to put it.
I was glad to speak with you, and your enthusiasm is infectious, and glad to give you the excuse me, I was almost gonna sneeze, and glad to give you the award, the Rockland Sound Award.
I'm honored.
So, you know, you are the first recipient.
I've struggled for a long time, and at age 46, I finally achieved my.
I'm going to name it the OSA after Tom that wasn't here. So
there you go.
You got the first OSA award. Yeah. It's like a Grammy version for podcasts.
There you go.
Okay. So, you know, I'm trademarking that right now.
Perfect. I know how to do that.
Yes, Toby.
Yes,
and
sir.
obviously, we're going to talk about Tomes. We're at tomes.com. It will be, you will see everything in the edit of this video, and we'll promote it on the Facebook page. And this will also be up on YouTube soon. And we'll get that out, and we can revisit again when you guys come back on. What an honor. Thank you for, answering my message when I invited you to come on.
Absolutely.
And, it's to talk to somebody that has a career like yours. And I know you have a label coming and that you launched and things. If you want to mention it real quick.
We'll do part two.
Or we'll do it in part two. Okay. So I really appreciate it. Obviously, I think what and Jay, you contributed to the length of this because you're an outgoing personality, and that's what we want to do is talk to people. No. We like getting to know people. I don't want to just go and get the stock interview where I hear about, like, can you imagine just like sitting down as Kiss and somebody goes, "What's it like to put on the makeup?" I would walk out, not literally, but I would be like, "Come on, that's the best you got,"
Right.
So we don't want to go. We don't want to go there. I watch.
You never know what you're gonna get from me when you ask me a question. I can tell you that.
So I want to, I watch a lot of podcasts just to see what the competition are up to, and I'm sleeping in boredom in like the first 30 seconds because they go, really you're gonna ask about that, and they've answered it like 1,000 times, and I'm sure you have answered questions about the Grammys and things, but I want to delve into some of the albums like the Kiss album in different places and talk about that, and obviously Tomes. So we'll go.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll go into that again. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I definitely did. And,
Absolutely. I didn't get an award, but hey, it's okay.
Oh, yeah, you do.
You have a lot of
the Grammys.
Oh, yeah. I got Grammys.
And wait a minute.
other people.
Listen, let's throw one at Jay. We get the OSA.
Okay. I'm good. I'm good. Maybe part two. I'll get it.
Put your fingers in your ear, Jay. Put your fingers in your ear, Jay. Okay, we're gonna give you the OSA next time, but
Oh, sweet.
Tell
Okay,
Jay.
thanks. Shh, don't tell him. Shh.
Right. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Rockland Sound. It's also Rockland Sound YouTube, rocklandsound.com for Facebook. tomes.com. And we will go into part 2. We will speak about that again, get more into your career because it's a lengthy career there.
Thank you.
And there's a lot to cover, and I'm going to go and dig deep. And honored to have you both here. I think what you're doing with Tomes is a special thing, and I think you're going to help a lot of people. And I think that's let's just say positive waves through the world.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you.
All right, you guys have a great night. Thank you for being here. It was my honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk soon.
And I'll talk to you soon, Toby, about setting up part 2, and we can go from there.
Sounds great. Thanks, Michael.
All right, have a great night. Be safe with everything. And
All right, you too.
peace.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace.
Good night.
This episode was brought to you by Tomes, a natural sleep and sound healing portal available globally at www.tomes.com. That's www.toumhoms.com.